once again, very good morning. And today I think we are meeting after a long time. After in this new year, this is our first session. And actually, this is the 16th session of the certificate course on scientific writing. And I'm gratefully welcome our resource person today, Professor Mahesh Jayavira, Minister of Forestry, Department of Civil Engineering. And thank you very much, sir, that you accept our invitation to do a presentation on, especially on this Grammarly and Hyperbole software, special softwares, what we can use for manuscript preparation. And many of our beginners, they may not know, and it's really helpful to them to know about such kind of softwares. And also that Professor Mahesh Jayavira, he kindly agreed to do this session. And once again, thank you very much. And so we will have several sessions in future. Actually, our resource persons will be the foreign resource persons. And so I will let you know regarding that in our reports. And at present, to introduce our resource person, I'll invite Engineer Manti Kanraratne to give the brief introduction on our Professor Mahesh Jayavira. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Good morning, everyone. It is with great honor I introduce our resource person today, Professor Mahesh Jayavira. Professor Mahesh Valanajit Jayavira is a professor attached to the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Moratuwa. He has a BSc Honours First Class degree in Civil Engineering from University of Moratuwa, and he obtained his PhD from Saitama University, Japan. He is a chartered engineer, a member of the Institute of Environmental Professionals in Sri Lanka, a member of the International Water Association, and a life member of the Sri Lanka Association for Advancement of Sciences. He is the current head of the Environmental Engineering Division, Department of Civil Engineering, University of Moratuwa. He has published more than 70 papers in internationally indexed journals, and his citation record is over 1800 with an H index of 12. Currently, his fields of interest include noise, air, water, sediment, water and wastewater, and vibration. Dear sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the Professor Banduni and Manti. And so, first of all, what I just want to let you know is that I'm going to share some of my thoughts on the use of these two softwares for better manuscript preparations. I mean, perhaps you would have not used this Grammarly and Writeful software up to now, but don't worry. Just listen what amazing things that you can do with these two. So therefore, let me share some of my thoughts with you today so that you will be able to do it better job when you prepare your research paper, or in other words, manuscript. First of all, you got to understand what is manuscript is. It's actually a written piece of information line up in an accepted sequence to be submitted to the editor-in-chief of a, let's say, any journal that you think of. Okay, so in general, it carves out your research work in the form of a delivery to others. How much you do your research best, it is of no use unless you deliver it in the form of research papers. It may be journal, maybe a conference paper, but I'm in fact trying to pitch the highest level journal paper, right? Because that is what every one of us dreams of. So therefore, remember, everyone has an ambition of publishing, in a high impact journal. So therefore, let's focus on that. When you prepare your manuscript, perhaps you might not achieve that, but doesn't matter. Whenever you target, you must always target, a journal with high impact factor. And it says sometimes you throw out your everything to prepare better one. sometimes you risk your postgraduate career in pursuit of graduation because you don't have enough papers or maybe publications. So in such a case, you may not be able to graduate. So therefore, always in the form of like academic writing, if you are a research student or research associate or even a academia, you may always try to publish. When you say publish, everyone has an ambition of publishing, in high impact journal. So what is required at the beginning is a better preparation of research publication. So usually when you submit this to any journal, which is usually called initial submittal, is known as manuscript. So therefore you may be able to understand the word manuscript. That is the initial preparation of your research article is basically called manuscript. The question is why better manuscript preparation is important. So you believe that the prepared manuscript is up to the standard level expected by the journal. So that is everyone wishes. By the time we prepare our first manuscript, we think that this is one of the best articles that in fact this journal can publish. But remember, on average, good journals, and I'm referring to basically Elsevier journals, more than 100 manuscripts per day received by the editors-in-chief. But less than 10 are to be accepted for further review. Right. So you will be getting more than 100 coming to the editor-in-chief. So the editor-in-chief has to select maybe maximum 10 out of 100, meaning that 90 to be rejected. Now this is sometimes called desk rejection. If your paper is rejected, so usually that is a desk rejection. But if it is accepted, you call it desk acceptance. So our target initially would be to come into this 10, right? Roughly 10. So if you belong to this category 10, basically 80% of your work, you have succeeded. The most difficult hurdle would be to get your paper selected for this 10 numbers, and mainly majority is going to be rejected. That is the nature of many journals nowadays, because people are writing and sending. So therefore every good journal gets more than 100. Some have now exceeded even 200, right? The better, say for example, in one of my areas, environmental international has gone very high level. Right? So therefore some have gone even more than 100 coming in now. So you got to be one of those whose paper is selected for further review. Isn't that a great challenge? Because you can be able to, just notice if it is selected, you can be able to say, you can say, go through there is a separate, window through which you can be able to see where you are when you submit your, whatever the publication or maybe manuscript. And then you can see there is a wording called send to reviewer. If you see that a couple of words, send to reviewer, meaning that you have succeeded the first hurdle. That is, you have been selected to these 10 numbers, and then only it will be sent to reviewers. But once it goes to reviewers, still there is a chance of your paper being rejected, but there is more chance of your paper being accepted, maybe with major review or maybe minor review. So therefore, you can be complacent if you see that your paper is sent for review or reviewers. So you need to conquer this hurdle. How? It is only through better manuscript preparation. So you got to prepare your manuscript well, and then only you have a chance of being selected to these 10 numbers that we are talking of. How you achieve better manuscript preparation by avoiding the pitfalls that reject your manuscript. That is, we have to have some idea why your paper is rejected at the desk level, or the desk rejection by the editor is chief is based on what? That is something that you must be able to understand first. What is this rejection by editor-in-chief? If you look at this paper, and it would very easily explain, when you submit a new manuscript to a journal, you are probably wondering what the reviewers will say about. But before the paper is sent to our peer review, journal staff, basically editor-in-chief, will look at it and decide whether to send your manuscript for review. Some articles never make it past this step, like more than 90%, and receive a quick desk rejection without being assigned an editor or sent for review. So that is what happens most of the time for our papers. But you need not to get discouraged. Once it is rejected, there are ways and means of improving your paper. You can avoid this fate by noting some of the main pitfalls of why a journal might not consider your article for peer review. Even though you can't predict what your reviewers will say, you can at least make the best effort to ensure that your manuscript makes it peer review in the first place. So therefore, you need to now look at the, the nitty-gritties, why your paper be rejected. So therefore, that is assumption that you need to do. But if you are to look at, in nutshell, what happens now, these are the common pitfalls that make your manuscript reject with a probability of failure of Asians. Now I'm referring to Asians. There is a source. Now, there is a paper on this, and when you look at this paper, you can be able to say that these are the mistakes that you do, and why your paper is basically rejected at the desk level. The topic is not within the journal scope. If you have selected the wrong journal, of course, the editor-in-chief will reject your paper at the desk level, at the initial level. But if you look at the percentage, it's not going to be very, very high. It's going to be little more than 5%. So I would say around 5%. The manuscript type doesn't match what the journal usually publishes. So that is another problem, meaning that you have not read the aims and scopes of that journal. If you have not read very clearly, you belong to the second category, but it is also very, very less. You don't want to worry of that, because basically you all have read and very well prepared, and you know which journals are to be sent. So therefore, number 1 and number 2 have no issue at all. But number 3, the manuscript does not follow basic journal guidelines. Sometimes you belong to that as well, but you hardly be going to be a culprit under number 3 as well, because nowadays the guidelines, publishing guidelines are very clearly given. So always you go by the guidelines. So therefore, that is not going to be an issue. The number 4 is the writing doesn't meet basic standards. That is what you basically fall into when you take, as a whole, particularly for Asians, our native language is not English. So because of that, basic standard is not going to be met. So 60% will be rejected based on this. Right. Now, when I say basic standard, sometimes you feel that your English is good. English is good in the sense that there is no grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, but it does not mean that your English is good. Whenever you write a manuscript, there is a sequence of language skills that is required to pass this hurdle. Right? When I'm asking you, say, for example, I can give you, let's say someone can say annually a certain, let's say a certain contaminant will grow up. Another person can say a certain contaminant can grow up annually. What is correct? I have been putting annually first, and again for the second, annually second. The correct English for a manuscript, or we call the formal writing, would be the second one. Annually has to come second. But if you just put this into a normal language software, you are not going to pick it up. But editor is going to pick it up, and then ultimately, without your knowledge, your paper or the manuscript will be rejected. So therefore, we have to learn the art of writing, I would say academic, the contents or the manuscript, research papers. That is a very, very important part. But of course, it takes a bit of a time, or you need bit of experience, to do it. But these two softwares would help you come out very easily. So therefore, number 4 is one of the pitfalls where many Asians falls. Number 5 is problems with the references. You hardly, fall into this category. Always you will stick to the correct referencing style. So therefore, we have no issue at all. Then missing author information, but hardly you get it. And the last one, plagiarism and self-plagiarism, 20%. So therefore, this is again another area where we have to be a bit careful. I hope you will understand the plagiarism, so you're copying from someone else. But nowadays, the biggest problem is self-plagiarism. What you do is, in your career, you try to first write, small paper, let's say conference paper, and then you publish your conference paper. Now, when you publish your conference paper, it might appear in the internet, right? So somehow or other, it might go to internet. If it goes to internet, that has been considered to be another paper, though you're the author. But without knowing this, what you do is, when you write the journal paper, you tend to take a lot of stuff from that conference paper, even the methodology. I mean, methodology is not going to be different, but you are trying to, copy from your methodology, from your conference paper, but that comes under self-plagiarism. That you can't do even. So therefore, publishing your work, initial work in a conference is a now bit of a challenge. Or if you do so, you will be depriving of publishing more or less the same content in journal paper. So therefore, some believes that you can publish the same thing with lesser tone in conference, but you can do the same thing with the exaggerated version in a journal. That is not allowed nowadays. So therefore, never ever think of doing it again, because that is going to be too dangerous, and then you belong to self-plagiarism. So therefore, you are not in a position to submit anymore. So therefore, always, if you want to do a conference paper, do it on a small amount of details or data. Never ever use whatever you publish in the conference, data, information, methods, or whatever, when it comes to the publication of the journal paper. So make sure that both are two different aspects. Otherwise, you will not be able to publish in the journal that you think of. So therefore, if you look at all of this, right, that's how the 60% falls, 100% comes in. Out of 100%, for Asians, 80% chance of your paper being rejected because of what I have mentioned in green color. One is your English may be poor, basic standard will not be maintained. The other one is you fall into the category of copying, which means plagiarism is rather high. So therefore, you need to correct these two. Or to correct these two, you can be able to use these two softwares. So where did the majority go wrong? It is very clear. Language barrier is number one. Again, the self-plagiarism or the plagiarism is also the language barrier. You are not in a position to paraphrase what is given in someone else's paper. So if you are unable to do these two, definitely your paper will be rejected at the desk level. So therefore, in loose language, we can say that language barrier causes major problems of your paper being not accepted at the initial level. Right? So when you're looking at this basic standards, right? And I would like to refer to this paper, and it says your writing doesn't have to be perfect, but your manuscript should be understood by the people who read it so they can assess it correctly. Many journal editors will not send a paper out for review if there are too many language mistakes or if it is challenging to follow along with even the basic outline of your manuscript. After all, if it is difficult to read, it will be even more difficult for peer reviewers to assess the quality of your research. That is one of the reasons for editors not to send it to reviewers, because the editor believes that the reviewers may not be able to get anything out of your paper, difficult to assess your paper because your language barrier. Before sending off your manuscript, take some time to focus on writing. Check spellings, grammar, and fix any typos or unclear sentences. Don't forget to check your figure legends as well. If you need help with writing, some journals will be able to recommend language editing services as well, but they are very expensive. I don't think we can be able to afford to go to such language editing services. But only thing is, there are so many mistakes, typos that you do, but you never read it. Because if you write, sometimes you may not be able to identify or understand. So in that case, ideal would be ask a third party to read it. Ask a third party to read it so that they will be able to catch up some of the mistakes you have done in your paper. But nowadays, you don't need a third person to read it, but you have the Grammarly with which you can be able to correct many, the errors or mistakes that you have done. And then the Grammarly is always trying to put your paper to an accepted norm or the form so that the editors-in-chief would be able to accept without any issue. Right. Finally, many journals do a plagiarism check before peer review. If this flags up considerable overlap between your paper and existing publications, this may prevent you from progressing further through review process. To prevent this, keep in the habit of never copy pasting text from other sources while taking notes from your manuscript. This practice is also true if you include text from your papers. Even though they are your words, you won't be able to publish them twice. Even if you don't use exact words, you can still have the chance of getting your manuscript rejected if your manuscript is very similar to an article you have previously published and covers the same research or splits your findings into multiple separate manuscripts, which is called salami slicing. You must understand this point that I raise here. What you do is you write first paper with your own, let's say, wording, but now second one, what you are going to do is you are not going to use the same wording, but you are going to differ your wording through paraphrasing and then you're going to come out with the second paper. But apparently, same, more or less same content will be there. But that is going to be rejected because the good plagiarism, the software can identify it very easily. So therefore, there is no chance for you to repeat the same, even though publication has completely different format. Or else what you can do is, you're going to, just do the same thing, but with different sort of data. Same thing, what you published earlier, more or less same procedure you follow, but with different. Now, say for example, let me check. Tell you. Now I do basically removal of certain contaminant using a material called X. My second paper would be the similar paper, using the material Y. I'm going to remove the same contaminant. That I can't do. That is called salami slicing, or sometimes you call mushroom publishing. Right. Now, in the past, you would have seen that many people are doing it. Same thing. I mean, you change the material and you publish. Change the material, you publish. But more or less the same thing. That has not been allowed nowadays. So, which is we call salami slicing. So, new plagiarism software can find it very easily, and then you cannot go on like that. So therefore, when you select your topic, your research topic, you have to be careful hereinafter, because later you're not in a position to change, but right at the beginning, you must understand this. So therefore, the language, handling language, also with the content that you're going to look into, are interconnected. So therefore, we have to be careful of what to do. If you want to mention something again, paraphrase it and cite the source. Before submitting the manuscript, use software to rigorously check plagiarism and ensure it is less than 10%. This is the rule of thumb. If you want to mention same thing, you can do it, but you have to refer to the previous person who has done it. Maybe you, doesn't matter. So you put your own, reference. But most of the time you have to put. So therefore, ultimately, so that is not your new work. Then it is very clear that you have taken from previous the publishing articles, including you. So therefore, that is how journals identify papers now. So therefore, never think of publishing same thing, same procedure with different materials, but still there is, hurdle or maybe a red tape for you to publish. And make sure that when you prepare your manuscript, do not send without getting it checked to plagiarism. And ideal would be, everybody has an access to Turnitin, and Turnitin, if you use, if it is going to be less than 10%, you're all right. If it is going to be more than 10%, you will be in trouble. But the question is how we are going to get 10%. Combining words in Turnitin, if you just write a, let's say, a thesis, you will be allowed to go for like maximum 5 words or 6 words together. But remember, nowadays, for a good journal, plagiarism is checked only with 2 words or 1 word, right? 2 words is best that you can be able to think. Now, say, for example, you have earlier published, you have done some research, and then you say, during dry period and wet period, right? Or maybe let's say during dry and wet periods. If you just submit the same thing again, that is going to be captured, and you are not supposed to do it again. So therefore, sometimes unnecessarily, unethically, you get caught. So therefore, you have to make sure that you never use the same wording again and again, and then they will catch up phrases, even short phrases, they can be able to identify. So therefore, if you are to check hereinafter plagiarism, make sure that you combine 2 and 3 words. 2 and 3 words. And if your score is going to be less than 10, even for 2 and 3, right, you are perfect. Meaning that you have not copied from, one of the previous publications. So therefore, keep that in mind. It's very, very important. So you need to conquer the language barrier for a better manuscript preparation. And what a challenge it is. It is a real challenge nowadays. How you're going to do it? So to get over this problem, you can use AI inbuilt software for better writing. What is the beauty of AI inbuilt software is because they can identify your area easily. Now, say if you work in IT area, maybe the language or maybe some of the wording that are relevant to IT is not the same relevant to, let's say, biology paper. So therefore, if you use this AI inbuilt, so they will be able to identify most of the wording, or I would say the special the words that are being used in your area of specialization can be identified using this software. So therefore, that would be a very helpful in coming up with new wording. Why we have selected the grammarly rightful? Now there is a Nature article that I have put here, and based on this Nature article, the worldwide most popular AI inbuilt software for academic writing would be number 1, Grammarly, number 2, Ginger, number 3 is Rightful, and the 4 is Paperpad. So we have been using Grammarly and Rightful for this exercise to see whether how we can improve ourselves, in writing. So if you train yourself with Grammarly and Rightful, you can be able to do it absolutely no problem. Anything you can be able to. You need not to send your manuscript for any correction, or maybe any proofreading is not necessary, right? There are some questions. I will answer your questions later. Once I finish this, there is a question and answer time. Don't worry. So we will answer all your questions later. You may have done it many times, but have yet to be successful. You have been doing this, and I know that most of you have been doing, but still you have not succeeded. Question is why? We need to find out why. Why not be successful? One thing is, English is not the native language for many of us. So therefore, that is why you need to select any software that corrects grammar and spelling. So you need not to be worried. I mean, don't be ashamed of yourself for not knowing everything. So that is our second language, so that you don't want to worry. So that's why you need to correct grammar and spelling. Many are on the lookout for free essay writers, not paid version. Many things, free versions correct everything. Now, this is where we basically go wrong. Now, even the Grammarly or Rightful, you get the free version, and we jolly well use the free version, and we think that everything is corrected using free version. Never. The biggest problem is not a single freeware is going to help you 100%. It will help you to a certain extent, but not the 100%. Free essay writers can't do high quality work as they do not provide all inbuilt facilities. So meaning inability to select AI inbuilt versatile ones is your problem. So therefore, you must make sure what each and every software can do and cannot do. Unless you are sure, you are not in a position to make use of it in an optimal manner. So therefore, remember, when you use the Grammarly, very easily you can use the free version, but it can correct up to, I would say, 50%. But you can't find it because it will not highlight any errors, but there are errors. But unfortunately, you think that everything is perfect now, and then you send it. But the editors in chief can be able to find it out because they check using similar softwares. New developments are plentiful, but their uses are sometimes cumbersome and updates are required. That is very important. Embrace most of these blindly cheaper ones without looking for what they are capable of. So therefore, that is what we do. We think that the software is going to help us. And sometimes what our norm would be to select the most cheapest version. If someone is going to, give us the same, let's say similar features at a rate of $10, we prefer to, go for $10 one rather than $100 one, right? So therefore, before you purchase, make sure that it would give you what you require. Check with your friends, check with the people who use them, and then only you must decide, to buy it or not. So therefore, keep that in mind because that is very, very important. Because once you purchase, you may not be able to, reject again. Need the software to take care of basic principles, features of manuscript preparation. So very important thing is when it comes to manuscript, the features embedded that are helpful for the manuscript preparation must be understood. Without understanding of what each and every software can do for your manuscript, it is going to be very difficult for you to select the best out of all. But remember, no software will give you everything precise. So therefore, you cannot select one which gives you everything perfect. No. Otherwise, what will happen? You apply blindly to get garbage out. That is what is going to happen for most of us. We think that we get the right stuff coming from this software once you apply, but it will never happen. Instead of that, it will do partly, but still you get a lot of issues. So then how do you select ones with minimal pitfalls? My experience of using two software, Grammarly and Rightful, for more than 10 years, constantly and continuously paves my dividends. So I did all with these two software. I never use anything else. And one of my paper that I published in 2000, that is based on this COVID research, one of the review papers has become #1 in Sri Lanka when it comes to citation. It has now passed 1,100 as far as I can remember. Yes, more than 1,000, right? Within 2 years. So I had absolutely no idea when I submitted, but what I did was I used the Grammarly and the Rightful. And with minor corrections, I got it approved, or my paper has been, approved, and it has been published. So you too have free access to both premium versions at the Moratuwa University Library, and you will be guided by library personnel. If you do not have Grammarly or Rightful paid version or the premium version, I will make sure that you will get the best. Contact the Moratuwa University Library, Dr. Nayani. I have given you the number. We will help you sharpen your paper. And not only that, even if you need, we will come in person and help you. Because we are happy to see our younger generations come out with good stuff. Unlike, Indians, Bangladeshi, and Chinese, right? So therefore, if you do not have anything, don't worry, right? So you need to go, you need not to go behind. Still, there is a chance of using your the better ones, the premium versions, contact me or contact Dr. Nayani. Nayani is the assistant librarian, one of the assistant librarians. She is already trained. She would be able to help you. You have to come there and then you can get everything checked. So therefore, we will give you that service, and definitely you will see the difference with the premium version and maybe the free version you have. Why unique on Grammarly and writing? Now we are going to go into nitty-gritties of where you go wrong, right? So that I have 33 of similar ones which I have observed, and also I got most of these from couple of editors in chief. So therefore, keep this with you and check one by one whether you have done this. Right? These are the things that are not accepted in many journals. Use of formal language is very important in your the paper writing. Now, when I say paper writing, I'm not referring to remember the sometimes you say the pay particles. I'm not referring to pay particles, right? The pay particles, they are accepted, but I'm now referring to journal papers. In journal papers, avoid work like smoking gun, but you are not supposed to write but, starting at but, vis-a-vis, in addition is also not allowed. In addition. So likewise, there are certain number of words that are considered to be wordy or informal. They are not supposed to be in your write-up. You may not remember all of these things, but when you use Grammarly, Grammarly will be able to pick them up and then they will correct. So therefore, whenever you apply Grammarly, you try to remember so that next time when you write your paper, you are not going to do that mistake again. So therefore, don't let Grammarly take it up everything. So first time they will, but second time you are not going to make the same mistake again, right? So very important. Now say, but another similar words are plenty, right? So that I may not be able to, pick it up everything. So, but you will learn, little by little if you use Grammarly premium version. Number two, avoid contractions. Sometimes you use even in letters as soon as possible, as early as possible, R&D. Instead of temperature, you put TEM doc. Those are not allowed. So therefore, make sure that, the conventional stuff you can be able to use, but still remember, etc. etc. dot is not allowed at all. There can't be etc. in your papers. You can write what is 100% sure in papers. So therefore, never put etc. in your papers. That is not accepted at all. And number three, uses the third person, avoid second person pronunciations. The second person pronounce he instead of you. You can say he. Always when you say he, it represents the female, male both. There is no problem, but it's singular. But you can't use you. You is not allowed in journal publications. Number four says avoid interrogative statements, use declarative statements instead. Avoid I think. It is questionable. It may be possible. You can't use it, right? So therefore, always try to avoid such, the para, the para in sense a couple of words starting. If you say, I think my results are pretty accurate, you cannot use it like that. It is questionable, that my results follows a particular pattern. You can't write because they are vague. So therefore, you may not be able to use it clearly. Number 5, avoid exaggerations or hyperboles. So hyperboles meaning, again, exaggeration. Exaggeration took hours to crack the code. Now look at some people write, took hours to crack the code. But in literal meaning, yes, it says you take a bit of a time when you say took hours to crack the code. But took hours is not accepted at all. Exactly, you have to say how many hours or how many minutes you have taken. Then hyperbole is took days to crack the code. That is, you are trying to, exaggerate very high level to a high level. And it says took days to crack the code. That comes under hyperbole. They are not allowed at all. So therefore, whenever you write, you must make sure that with the precise timing, precise data to be always included into your paper. And sometimes you try to do number 6, avoid sweeping generalization. You try to generalize. Now say this one, microplastic pollution is high worldwide. So everybody knows that. Microplastic is going to be on the rise day by day, that's all right. Then second one, climate change is real. Everybody knows. So such ideas should not be written in this way, because I don't think we have to, show it again and again and again in our journal paper. You are wasting time. So therefore, simply generalizations will not be allowed in journals. But Grammarly can be able to find it out easily. Number 7, clear, concise, and no repetitions. Very, very important part. Many of you do this in papers. But when you look at grammar or spelling, no problem at all. But the problem is they are not concise. Now, say, for example, in order to. Now, sometimes people believe that when you say in order to, you're going to stress that particular verb. No. So therefore, instead of in order to, you have to write only to. In order is not allowed. So therefore, when you go to Grammarly, it will correct it. Instead of in order to, they say to. All in all, not allowed. In the process of, in the foreseeable future, in the case of, going forward. These are the words or couple of words or phrases that can be used in newsletter articles. Perfect. But not in the journal papers. So therefore, try to make it very simple in the journal papers, and also try to be concise all the time, rather than coming up with phrases. If you can put it in one word, best thing is to put it in one word rather than phrases. Number 8, avoids emotive or exaggerated language. Never start with shall or should. Now, when you say shall, it is in the legal language, you must do it. And should is also you should do it, meaning that then again you must. But if you want to just do something on an exaggerated manner, must will be allowed, but still it has to be for a recommendation. Maybe when you go for a recommendation, you can be able to do must, but not should and shall. So therefore, if you can avoid even the must, that would be better, because the papers or the editors do not like you, strongly recommending certain things with one paper. But if you are going to do, a review paper, but after reviewing couple of papers, if you are to come out with some kind of judgment, there you can use must. Absolutely no problem. But when you look at the research paper, never use the word must. Best thing is to avoid shall, should, must as far as possible. Okay. Number 9, avoid redundant words and phrases. Now, sometimes you write period of time, right? When you say period of time, either it has to be period or it has to be time. And some says absolutely essential. It is, I mean, when you say absolutely essential and essential, there is no difference when it comes to research paper. Attached together, right? When you say attached, that is more than enough. Together is not necessary, redundant. Best ever. If you put best, that is more than enough. Ever is not necessary. Classify into groups. When you say classify, that is more than enough. No need to put it into groups, because when you say classify, everybody knows that that is going to be definitely into groups. Close proximity. If you put close, that is more than enough. Proximity is, wordy, or maybe I would say redundant. So therefore, all of these are acceptable in normal language. I'm not saying that these are wrong. They can be used in other sort of writing, but not in the academic writing, particularly journal papers. So therefore, keep that in mind, but Grammarly will correct most of these. Whenever it appears, let's say by mistake you would have put in, but the Grammarly is going to correct them. But again, what is important is try to remember. So therefore, you are not going to do the same mistake again when you publish your next journal article. Number 10, avoid unnecessary jargon and define terms where needed. Now, avoid words like above mentioned, hereinafter, hereafter, work well but could be better, out of box, incredibly good. These are jargons. Of course, I'm not saying that they are not bad, they are good, but I still believe that they can be used in newsletter articles, but not in journal papers. So therefore, we have to avoid them as much as possible. Number 11, presents information as precisely and accurately as possible. Now, say for example, we measured the exit water temperature of the filter at every hour, right? That is what we do. So that is the correct version, very precise. But look at the incorrect version or the wrong. We managed to measure. You can't write, what do you mean by we managed to measure and we measured? Then you will understand. Literally, both are the same. But concise form is we measured the exit temperature. That is exactly what you did, right? We managed to measure, meaning that it, explicitly says that with much difficulty you managed to do it. So that is strong wording when it comes to journal paper. So therefore, never write we managed to measure. Always make it simple, and we say we measured the exit water temperature of the filter at every hour. So that is very clear. Number 12, users active voice instead of passive voice. Now, this is something that came up very recently, I would say for the last 5 years. Many journal papers would be happy to get everything active voice. Initially, this has started in the North American countries, but now it has spread into other areas as well. But as far as the Asians we are concerned, we always go by passive voice, right? Experiments is done. We never say we did the experiment. Now say we measured, correct. The temperature was measured. I'm not saying incorrect. Some they do not like that way. Always we were asked to go by active voice. So therefore, the guidelines would help us a lot. So therefore, best thing is if you just think of a paper, a particular journal, you read 1 or 2 articles from that journal before you prepare your stuff. Then you will be able to get, the patterns, different patterns used by people. So that would also help you figure out your paper exactly suited for that journal, right? Because editors are always hot-tempered people, remember. Why? Because they are getting more than 100 papers, manuscript every day, so that they are not happy in always move. So therefore, if they find that your passive voice, sometimes some are not going to accept it at all. So therefore, our target would be to make sure that you belongs to one of those 10 people whose papers, manuscripts are accepted at the desk level. So for that, you have to do everything that he would like to check. We don't know who this person is, but we think that he is sticking to all of this. Assume that he knows all what I mentioned here. So therefore, never do these errors, so that you will be able to, have a high chance of your paper being accepted at the desk level. Number 13, users appropriate transition to show the connections between ideas in a logical manner. That is a very, very important part, because connectors are very important, and then without the connectors you may not be able to connect your stuff what you did. Now good connectors are like alternatively, conversely. Now conversely is always opposite. If you just first sentence you write something positive, but you want to write the second sentence negatively, then you start with conversely. Moreover, similarly, after that, those are accepted versions, right? Connectors. Now look at the bad connectors or the connections. Ever since, in addition to, in pursuit of, in memory of, but, in the process of, subsequently, in the meantime, all are wrong. What do you mean by subsequently? Why you think that the subsequently is wrong? When you say subsequently, you don't know what time. Subsequently කියලා කියන්නේ මම සිංහලෙන් කියනවා පසු කාලෙක. You don't know. Sometimes you may do it after another 2-3 processes when you say subsequently. So therefore, that is why that has not been taken in, right? So ever since is wrong. Instead of ever since, you have to say something else, or maybe let's say although. That is accepted. In addition to is not accepted. In addition to, the many journals would like to go for because rather than in addition, right? In pursuit of is not accepted. Instead of that, you can say after that. After that, in pursuit of, right? In place of in pursuit of, you can say after that. It's applicable, accepted. In memory of. So usually we never in memory of, because those things would not come to science, but it will come to social sciences. Still in memory of is not looking like, it is not accepted at all. So but, instead of but, what you are going to use? But is not accepted at all, right? So therefore, the instead of but, you can say something different. Because, or maybe although, that is accepted. In the process of is wrong. So what you need to do is in the process of, so you have to connect with something else, but there are so many the words coming in the process of, right? You can't simply give one word now. In the meantime, you can't say in the meantime, because nobody understands what you mean by in the meantime. It doesn't refer to a particular time period. So therefore, completely it has to be avoided. Number 14, organize using paragraphs. That is why you need the skeleton. Before you write, you have to have a skeleton. Every para should have some meaning. Let's say in the introduction, first para for global and local problem. You are trying to concentrate global and local problem of what you write under the first para. of introduction. Second para of the introduction for what has been done in the global context and what is missing. And third para may be for what can be done to improve or solve the problems with your objectives. Now see, there is a logical way of putting your stuff, right? That is very, very important, because those who understand English need this clarity. If the clarity is not there, your paper is how much good it is, it would be thrown out by the editors because it does not give the meaning right. Or the people, third party may not be able to extract what is given in this paper correct. So therefore, always before you write, come out with your skeleton and then make sure that every para is devoted to one or two aspects of your research. Then there is a clarity and there is a logic in what you write. Number 15, every part of the text relates to the central theme of the research question. If the topic is on microplastic, do not talk of nanoplastic or macroplastics. That's what it says. Sometimes you are passionate. You try to, bloat your stuff more. You want to show off that you know more. Never do it in journal papers. Always focus on narrow down on your topic. Do not try to, just talk of other aspects little in detail, because it is not, in your part of research, it is something else. Though it is how much important, do not try to cross over your boundaries when you write something. Always narrow down to your area of research exactly. So that would help you a lot. Number 16, supports the claim in question with evidence. Every sentence be backed by recent citations only. Many are not going to do. Sometimes some students would always argue, saying that we cannot find, recent citations. Now you do 2023, but most of your citations are, let's say, 2010, 29, let's say 2010 or 2000, let's say 2000, 2010. Do you think that your paper is good? Not at all. Why? You are doing a research now which has been done by many others long ago. That's what it says. If editor finds that, definitely your paper is rejected. Your paper is rejected. Why? You don't get, more recent. I mean, I would say only last 5. If you can give only last 5, now 2020, you're in 2023, go up to 2020, let's say 18 or 19. Do not go beyond further down. Why? Because if you do, meaning that you are referring to pretty old, the evidence, which is of no use. So therefore, remember, even sometimes I also face the same question. So that is, at that time, it is too late, because you will have already done your research. So therefore, whenever you want to give evidence or citations, go for the most recent ones. Chances are very, very high to, claim your questions with that evidence. If it is going to be too old, meaning that your research, what you do, is obsolete, or it could have been done 10 years before. That's what it says. So therefore, always when you pick up your title, make sure that you select your title which is of current, right? Do not select anything which has already been done a couple of years back. Definitely it's going to be very difficult for you to publish. Number 17, uses the appropriate verb tenses in each section. Very important that. Now, one example I have given. Now, in the introduction, either you use, let's say, confirms, present tense, or has confirmed. What is that? Present participle, has confirmed. Never say past. I never say confirmed in the introduction. It's always either confirmed or has confirmed. Methods, always past confirmed. You have to say confirmed. Results, you say confirmed, right? That is again past. Discussion, you say has confirmed or even the present. Conclusion, most of the time you say present. So therefore, if you use the rightful would guide you which tends to be used for each section, right? So therefore, if you just look at the rightful, you will be able to understand it very clearly. Number 18, formats numbers consistently. That is another problem which you can correct with Grammarly very easily. If you go up to 9, right, you never use it in it's syllable. So you use always words 1, 2, 3 up to 9. You always say in word O N is 1. It's not one. The ilakkamanave. Now from 10 onwards, you don't want that. Then you write 10, 11, and so on with numerals. So you must understand this premise. Everyone would like to use this premise in many journals. Number 19, cites sources using a consistent citation style. Use Mendeley or EndNote reference management software. You can select either of these two, using Grammarly. Right? So you can very easily use this, or else ideal would be to use separate EndNotes or Mendeley when you write. So then anything is possible. You can convert very easily, depending on the journal, because you might send your first to a journal which is in one pattern, maybe second one, once it is rejected, second one would be a different pattern, so that you need to change it again. But if you use software, it is only a matter of time. Very easily you can change. Number 20, avoids grammatical mistakes. This is very, very important. Right? So pay your attention. Write simple sentences and read what you write. That is what is most important. That is the basic. Write simple sentences. Don't try to make it very, very difficult for people to say, read. Make it simple and always read what you write. Because important thing is for you to understand first. Number 21, uses appropriate wordings instead of meaningless or loose wording. Sometimes you say, we call taboo words or double meaning words. Big money, it has no meaning. Good pattern, right? Bad practice, lot of test tubes. We don't know, when you say lot of, we don't know how many. A kind of practice, correct stuff. So these are loose, wordings, or sometimes some people call taboo words, which you should never use. And then in the journal paper, you cannot look into these words at all, because they have no meaning easily absorbable by the third party. So therefore, never use it, right? So you can say that, huge, right? So all are coming under this, right? We have got huge profit. But nobody knows what you mean by huge profit, right? So some wording of that nature, never use it. Then comes the punctuation problems. Use correct punctuations. Many are falling into this category, right? And then 10% of your errors fall into this category. You don't know whether it is full stop, semicolon, or colon. So let's say we measure the temperature Hence, we managed to predict the temperature increment over time. There, we measure the temperature must be stopped at semicolon. And then hence, after hence, there should be a comma, and then only you can write, and at the end, you have full stop. Now, you can say that all have been used in this manner. Say, this I can't teach you, okay, this is where it has to be. But Grammarly would be able to help. So therefore, just read how to use punctuation. There are so many books, articles available. You must make yourself correct. The moment you make it, wrong, Grammarly would be able to, correct them. But sometimes even the Grammarly cannot correct them, because this is something that you should learn by yourself. My advice is try to learn. There are some basic principles behind this. Try to read books, or there are a lot of internet, even the videos available. Go through it and then learn what to be used in your journal papers. And number 23 is also very, very important. Correct use of dash. Right? First one is even you call hyphen, dash or hyphen, smallest dash. Then comes the n dash. N dash is middle dash, or I would say second longest dash. And then comes M dash is the longest dash. Now you must understand which one is to be used where. Now say, for example, if you write wire fastened, and there always you get the dash or hyphen. That is just to, connect two words together. So always you use smallest version, right? But 4-figure number, again, the smallest version. 2/3, smallest version, right? And then you get 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. That is, you are now going to go for, you're trying to come out with a range with some figures. Always you use n dash. Let's say temperature is in between 20 and 25. What you should use is n dash. Or if you use years 1999, between 1999 and 2015, n dash. North south n dash, right? Publish in environmental quality. Elsevier publishers, always you can be able to explain, and M dash for commas, parentheses, or to give supplementary facts. So that is what I say, the second one, publish in environmental quality. And Elsevier, now you're trying to qualify instead of comma or semicolon, or maybe two connectors, let's say ideas are connected. So there you use M dash. Okay. M dash is to give completely two different, whatever you have to put within parentheses, right? We can be able to use this M dash. So therefore, M dash is to connect two sentences. M dash is, that is EN. N dash is to, always used to give us ranges. Smallest dash or hyphen is to connect two words. You must remember this very well. When you look at your papers, many times you make this mistake, right? So therefore, always journal papers identify this error very easily. Then you will be in trouble. So, but later, sometime you will be given the time to correct. But initially, if you correct them, chances are more for your paper to be accepted. 24, create short sentences instead of lengthy ones. Very important. Because rule of thumb is maximum 2 to 3 lines. That is what you can be able to do. Never go more than that. right? So never go more than that, because sometimes you try to go more. Never write, because sometimes you say people will not be able to read. So therefore, go for a short sentences as much as you can. Users appropriate vocabulary relevant to the subject matter. For vaccines, whenever you use talk of vaccines, roll out instead of launch. That is the idea of using AI related or inbuilt software. They can correct them, right? අපි vaccine එකක් අලුතෙන් එළියට දානකොට අපි කියන්නේ නැහැ launching of a vaccine කියලා කියන්නේ. අපි කියන්නේ rolling out of a vaccine. Right? That is the correct word. Likewise, for very many areas, you have a perfect certain wording that you need to look into. Number 26, maintain the same style throughout the write-up. Abbreviations, shortened forms, etc. You don't want to define some universal abbreviated forms like the USA, the UK, WHO, UNESCO. But whenever you use USA, the is important. You never say USA, you say the USA, the UK. But WHO, you never say the WHO, it is only WHO. UNESCO, you never say the UNESCO, it is only UNESCO. Right? The Netherlands, you say. But Sri Lanka, we never say the Sri Lanka, we say Sri Lanka only. So therefore, remember USA, those are shortened forms, UK, but the exception is Netherlands. You never say Netherlands, you say the Netherlands. Most of the other countries, you say only the country name. No the coming in front. Number 27, stick either to American or British English consistently. That is another mistake you do, which can be corrected using Grammarly. Analyze. First analyze is British. Second analyze is American. So you say help to solve. British, American, you never say to. When it comes help, you say help solve. You must remember to write like that. Color versus color. They know you for American, but British, yes. Modeling versus modeling. Modeling double L for British, simple L for American. Skillful and skillful. Say skillful first, 1L, second, 2L. So that is something that you must remember. Never mix it up. But sometimes it's difficult for you to remember. But don't worry, Grammarly will correct all of them. If you select American English, they will go ahead with American English without any problem at all. So everywhere it corrects. 28. Proposes synonyms when appearing more than once or twice. Right? So that is important. Never use the same word twice. Now say, for example, one word I use, articulate. When you say articulate, you can use it, describe, disclose, state. 4 times you can use 4 words instead of the same word. Okay? So therefore, you must remember some of these synonyms. If not, the Grammarly would be able to, just propose some of them, but you need to select what is appropriate. Rephrasing with better meaning, we call paraphrasing. This is another problem where every one of us has, because we think in singular and we translate into English, but the wording or maybe grammar may be correct, but the pattern of reading will not be correct. So therefore, divide the sentence into clauses and connect them through connectors to give original meaning. So that is how it has to be done. But if you need not to worry, this is corrected, this is to be corrected. If you use proper Grammarly version, premium version, it will correct. But please learn, as I mentioned earlier, some says annually we are getting, salary increase. Another person can say we are getting salary increase annually. Second one seems to be correct than the first one. So likewise, you must understand where to put certain, wordings, phrases, in between. So that's something that you must learn. Number 30, corrects capitalized words. First word in sentence, always capitalized. Names of people always start with capital. Names of places always start with capital. Trademarks, always days, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, all capital. Months and seasons, always capital. Abbreviations, always capitals. So therefore, keep that in mind, because sometimes we are abbreviating. In that case, we should know where the capital letters come. 31, avoids or adds the word the. A big problem, right? Again, more than 30% of us fall into this mistake. We don't know whether to put the or not. Some places where the is not necessary, we put the. Some places where we need the, we never use. You say over the time. There is no the before time. Always over time. Whenever time appears, don't put the. But in some USA, you'll use the USA. The color red. On the Friday, wrong. Always on Friday, on Wednesday, right? Whenever you refer to day, no the. To Katubad, right? To the Katubad is wrong because it's a name. Measure the pH wrong. Measure pH. For receipt of, for the receipt of is wrong. Whenever receipt appears, there is no the. In the air, wrong. In air, right? In air we breathe. That's how we write. Not in the air. Give information. No the. Give information. And last one, 32. Avoid plagiarism. Similarity index need to be less than 10%. That's what I have told earlier. Now see, so many stuff. 32 aspects that you need to look into. These are the major errors that you and I do. So therefore, focus on all of them and make sure that you never do wrong when it comes to these 32 items. Because in whenever you write your paper, you may fall into most of these items that I described under these 32. So it's very important. So then, as I mentioned, we can go for Grammarly software, the most popular grammar checking software. Right? And I'm not going to read it, and then you would have already read it. And this is something that can, let's assume, that would help us correct grammar. Basically, that's what it says. And this is Grammarly work across multiple platforms, making it available to users who want to write, including on mobile apps. Anything is okay. But premium versions start at $29.95 per month if you are going to go. But annually, it is around $160 per year. Now, I have subscribed by myself, but unfortunately, I have to pay $160 per year. That is the annual subscription. But if you want to go by monthly $29.95, which is costly. So even if you don't have any, don't worry. But in many universities, Grammarly is available free of charge for you all. But what I refer to is the premium version, right? So therefore, you can be able to use it easily. Remember, join over 30 million people and 500 teams who are using Grammarly every day, make their writing shine. So therefore, I mean, if you have not used, you start with the free version. You can download freely, but truly speaking, for the journal paper correction, this is not enough. So then you need to go for premium version, but you need not to purchase by yourself. Go to the universities, and then I have given you this, the telephone number, and then you come to university. We would be able to help you at all. I mean, the way you want, we can teach you, absolutely no problem, so that you can be able to correct yourself easily. Now, the ability of the Grammarly software, right? Look at this. Now, what I put here is a journal paper. This is, I took it straight away from a journal. Now, and then I put it into Grammarly platform. All what is, underlined in red are mistakes. They are mistakes, right? And then what is underlined in red are sometimes give you some idea. It could have been done better, but it may not be wrong. But what is underlined in yellow, green, is basically for you to go for different wording, right? So that you can use, instead of transportation, you can go for another, because it may have used earlier. Because Grammarly always tell you, do not use the same wording, but that is not necessary to be, changed. You can, if you want, you can keep it as it is. But all red ones need to be changed. All red ones meaning they are wrong. Now, this is the paper that appears in the internet. Even today, you can be able now say, if editor is going to read this, do you believe that the editor will accept all? No. So then what happened? This journal is one of the predatory journals. So therefore, we don't want to publish in predatory journals, because they never ever look at your quality of the paper or your writing skills. Since you pay, they will publish. But apparently, that has not been read by many, because many mistakes, right? So therefore, why I have put this one is, now whenever you use this one, you can see here, there is a score. They say overall score. Look at 26 at the corner, right? When you look at the right hand top corner, 26 overall score. Now remember, this score has to be more than 80%. If you get a score more than 80%, you're through. But I would say preferably, if you target a good journal, 90%. It has to be more than 90%, right? But preferably, I mean, for your normal language, 80% is all right, but I would be always going beyond 90 for clarity. Then comes the second one, there is a goal. Now, when you click this goal, you can be able to select different styles of writing. Or in other words, there is a widget called academic. You must select academic, right? Because sometimes you can go for general. සාමාන්‍ය අපි නිකන් essay එකක් ලියනකොට check කරනවා. But now you are writing a paper. එතකොට අපි මෙතනින් select කරන්න ඕනේ academic කියලා category එකක් තියෙනවා. You select the academic, and then there is no problem. You can go in. Then look at the suggestions given. Correctness, we have 27 alerts. ඔය රතු පාට තියෙන ඒවා, right? So therefore you have to correct them. You have 27 mistakes within this small area. With simple, let's say, 400 wording. 400 නෑ. Look at the clarity. Blue words are not very clear. Now say in the past history, right? Past is marked. When you say in the past history, we don't know how many years that you're talking of. That's why clarity is going to be a problem, right? And then the existing waterways. We don't know what you really meaning of existing waterways. Are they going to be, only rivers, major rivers? Are they going to be canals? Are they all of them? So therefore, clarity is going to be a problem there. Okay. Engagement, bit bland, meaning that you need, to focus on different wording if possible. So therefore, as I mentioned, engagement ones are not that bad. I mean, if you feel that you want to keep it as it is, you can keep without any problem. Delivery, it says just right, right? And then it is not bad. I mean, you people will be able to understand, but for a journal paper, this is pretty bad. You cannot use it, send this as it is. And then you say further down, get expert writing help. If you want, you can take, they will give you, but you need to pay. But we are not going to look at that because no point. I mean, if you want expert writing, we can go for many others. So forget about that. But again, still you can be able to check. Plagiarism check is there. In the premium version, you can check it. But this plagiarism is not as good as Turnitin. I usually check it, but it cannot capture every, the copying you cannot with this plagiarism, because Grammarly is not meant, as a plagiarism check software. It is correction of English. Now, so then what you can do is you can go word by word. Now say first word is Western. Now see, it is highlighted, but on the other side, it is given what is wrong. They ask whether it has to be the Western or a Western. What is correct? When you say Western province, we don't have many Western provinces. We have only one. So therefore, the correct wording would be the Western. Correct wording is the Western. But you go below, there it says a noun phrases Western province seems to be missing. Determiner before it. Consider adding an article. So we go for the. But if you want to learn more, there is another, down say learn more. Click that. Then you will be getting why the is important. Everything is given there. So that is where you learn. Right? So then you're not going to do again any. Now next one is existing transport system. What is the problem there? The missing again. You can't, when you say existing transport system, you can't understand. The existing transport system is not capable to overcome is wrong. Is not capable of overcoming. Whenever capable comes in, you can't write to overcome. It has to be of overcoming. Right? So likewise, you see a lot of corrections to be added. So all of them will be corrected by Grammarly. Even the comma. Sometimes you see that down the lines, the comma is marked. So sometimes comma need not to be there. So sometimes you have to add. But based on either American and English. But usually in this case, Grammarly software is meant for American English. Right? So therefore, always I use American English with Grammarly. So therefore, keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, so then look at the Grammarly software abstract for a predatory journal. Now, what I have done earlier. Now, earlier I showed you 26. So when you click up, you get this window appearing, popping up. Text score is 26 out of 100. Look at that. The score represents the quality of writing in this document. You can increase it by addressing Grammarly's suggestions. You see, needs more than 90%. I always go for more than 90%. In most of the time, I go for 98 or 99. Look at the word count is given, right? Everything, they just give speaking time even given. Now look at the readability. Metrics, word length 5.5, above average, fine. Sentence length 17.9, above average. Readability score 38, needs 90%. That is where we got stuck. That has to be improved. Your text is likely to be understood by a reader who has at least some college education, but it may not be easy to read. Now see, it may not be easy to read because the English is not correct, perfect, right? Some say, for example, somebody in that area of specialization might understand, But that is not what editor wants. Editor wants perfect English, because otherwise that is an insult to their journal. If some say, for example, this type of paper appears in a good journal, that may be bad reputation for that journal. So that is why they won't, take it at all. So therefore, be mindful. So once you do, you can look at your performance, where you stand, and then you can be able to improve. And again, you get the same thing like this. Grammarly software abstract from this predatory journal, determine users. What type of errors you do? I showed you 32. Now now they are talking of those. Determine user A and D this. Look at that. We do 9 errors. As far as I could remember, 1,000 odd words. 9 are wrong. Wrong or missing prepositions, 3. Confused words, 5. Incorrect noun number, 2. Punctuation in compound or complex sentences, 2. Commonly confused words, 1. Faulty tense, 3. Improper formatting, 1. Incorrect verb format, 2. Misspell words, 1. See, even for the clarity, you have 4 unclear sentences, 1 wordy sentences, 1 passive voice misuse. Engagement word choice, 5 wrong word choices. Can you be able to see now? Likewise, you can get the where you have gone wrong. But when you look at all of them, this particular paper, the writer has done a lot of mistakes when it comes to determiner use, A and D, which is same for most of you as well. Remember, you don't know where to put A, where to put D, or whether put or not put A and D. You have no idea. But Grammarly is going to help you. So therefore, always try to understand, because it explains every place why it is necessary, that particular correction is necessary, so that you go on reading, so that you will learn, and next paper you never do that mistakes. Right? So person who have written here basically has very limited knowledge on English. That's why every type of error is found. What I explained under 32, most of them are here. Right? Most of them are here. So basically it is rather bad. Then we go to rightful. Why rightful would be helpful for you to do it? It is for academic and technical writing, the best language feedback, and it gives clever widgets to help you write fast and secure. And yearly 1.9, sorry, it's $1.9 per month, the bill as a payment, but yearly it is 22.68. Pretty cheap, but still again, I don't want you to purchase. Now I got it because I have been using, but when you come to universities, this is free, freely available. Why rightful? Always rightful has to be used before Grammarly. Then only you're going to get meaningful stuff, right? So it says rightful doesn't only give you instant language feedback on your essay, paper, or thesis. It always let you explore the writing pattern of journal articles, browse academic phrases to use, automatically paraphrase your sentences, and auto-generate your title. Most of wonderful things can be done with rightful. And rightful's AI models are trained on millions of published research papers, making language suggestions tailored to academic writing. Now, one example, when you use the algorithm, we don't know the word efficient or effective to be used before. Some says efficient algorithm, some says effective algorithm. What is correct? You can very easily get it from rightful. It will give you the percentage simply by going through millions of published data, published papers. So therefore, you never go wrong. So then you act like a veteran in that area, right? Number 3, stuck in your sentence, use a language search or database of scientific papers to see how other authors use certain words and phrases. Very good. You learn certain wording, how to use, because you can request so that the other writes up will be shown to you. Browse commonly used phrases in sentence palettes and learn to introduce your topic, present your results, discuss your findings, and more. Very beginners, it will guide how to write. All right, so you will be able to see. Now, this is one, Writeful software abstract generator. Writing a good abstract is key but challenging. Give Writeful your paper and it generates abstract for you. Now, this is the abstract created by Writeful. So you don't want to write your abstract by yourself. You have written your manuscript, introduction, methodology, and all. And what this software does is it will go through what you write and it will give the abstract easily. So therefore, I have used, but most of the time abstract seems to be very accurate. But so remember, blindly you can't use it. Sometimes you need to go through it, and then sometimes you have to correct by yourself as well. All right, okay, right. Creating abstract and the title from the manuscript. It can even give you better titles. Now look at this. Earlier, what I have used is I showed you a document, a abstract, a paper. There, the title is Development on Water Transport System in Sri Lanka with Available Water Resources. Right? Even the title is not correct, wrong. But what Writeful gives is an investigation into new inland waterway transport network in Colombo Fort. You see, very precise, very nice. So therefore, you can be able to request Writeful to give you a very catchy titles, because when it goes to the editor-in-chief, what he first reads is your title. So therefore, you got to have a very catchy title, that would help you go a long way. So therefore, make sure that I'm now comparing to development on water transport system in Sri Lanka with available water. Is very, very general. It's not catchy at all. But from that, with Writeful, you get a very good catchy title. So that is possible with Writeful. So therefore, beginners who are trying to come out with good titles, good research paper, can be able to use this exercise. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, you can be able to say title generator. Writeful doesn't only improve your text, it also writes a title for you based on your abstract. Original title is given, new title is given. So even the wording, they're going to correct. So therefore, immediately you can be able to correct your stuff with a good title. Writeful software language main feature, simple search. Check how often the word or phrase used by other authors and see example sentences for published papers. You don't know how to use t-test because everybody is doing statistics using t-test. So therefore, you can check how the others have written it. Simple T, which dash, or M dash, or M dash, test, capital T-E-S-T. Use as a T-test to compare. So therefore, a very important thing is to put the right way of T-test. T-test, liyan simple T dash, capital test, T-E-S-T. That is how it is written, right? But beginners may not be able to identify. But if you look at Writeful, all of a sudden you get the right answer, right? How to write t-test correct can be obtained using Writeful. Compare. Compares two words or phrases to see how often each is used and how their usage differ. What is correct? Notable, noticeable. What is correct? So you can see notable 53% I mean, you're checking millions of, write-ups. Notable 53% is used. Noticeable 57% is used. So for me, if I'm to use, I use always noticeable. Noticeable seems to be much easy for people to understand rather than notable. Note kannada, notice kannada, that is why 57. But remember, both are correct. Number 3, compare context. Handy when you are not sure which word or phrase is best to use in your own context. Verify the stats and examples. What you do is, we don't know to use an effective or efficient algorithm. Right? We don't know which one is correct. I want to select the perfect version, whether it is effective or efficient. Others look at how an effective algorithm is 5%. An efficient algorithm is 95%. So therefore, what is the correct wording? Efficient algorithm. So if you write effective algorithm, meaning you do not know the right combination, so you're wrong. So, but that cannot be identified using Grammarly. If Grammarly, if you say efficient algorithm, if spellings are correct, it says yes, correct. But rightful would be helpful in getting the right wording, right, for your area of specialization. So that is the beauty of rightful. Words in context. See what words fit your phrase. Use it to check what preposition to use, what verb go with a noun, or to fill any other gaps you are stuck with. You say, aims to give a comparison. Others says, aims to provide a comparison. 5%. Aims to perform comparison. 95%. මම මේක සිංහලෙන් කරන් කියන්නම්. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට වෙලී තනවා අපි ලියනවා aims to give a comp. අපි මේ give කියන එක ගැන තන හිර වෙනවා. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ හරි word එක. aims to give comparison කියලා අපි දන්නවා. ඒතර අපිට මෙතෙන්ට හරි word එක ඕනනම් අපි මේ rightful එකට දාලා check කරාම මෙන්න මේක. ඒතර මෙතන බලන්න aims to provide the comparison කියන එක 5% තමයි ලියලා තියෙන්නේ. aims to perform comparison කියන එක 95%. ඒතර perform කියන වචනේ තමයි හරි වචනේ. So then you're going to correct yourself. That is what I meant. Sometimes we get stuck. That is the nature, because this is our second language. We don't know which word is right. Rightful software would enable you to find the most appropriate word. So therefore, you don't want to worry anymore if you use the right word. Synonyms in context. Right? So if you go to that widget, it says add some variation to you text and see what others words you could use. Also help you find more suitable words, candidates. You write like that. Reported a big problem. Others reported a major problem. Something like that. You see, similar words, instead of big, you can say major, even the major 25, so that you need furthermore. Major seems to be not perfect word. Still you need some correction to be done, right? Look at this. If you just give it to rightful, it will give you like this. Had a great impact on. For that, if you just ask for different wording, it says had a positive impact 27%, had a significant impact 23%, substantial impact 13%, major 12%, large impact 10%, strong impact 4%, considerable impact 3%, high 3%, primary, big, serious. Why? They are not very good. When you go down, they are not perfect or very difficult to understand what it says. But ideal would be to go for first couple of things. Those are correct. Right? So therefore, this is what rightful can give you. So therefore, there are so many combinations or maybe different alternatives will be given by right, so that you can select the best one version, because it basically go through database and it will give you the percentages. Now, in this case, had a positive impact is much more, and significance impact is much more correct rather than great. So never write great impact. Instead of great, either significant or positive, or maybe negative. So that seems to be much better. And also you can do paraphrasing. Paraphrasing කියලා අපි කියන්නේ එක අපි ලියන වාක්‍ය වෙන විදියට ලස්සනට ලියනවා. අන්න ඒක. So then you have in the rightful 3 levels of paraphrasing: low, medium, high. Now, if you're going to write to a very good journal, I would advise you to go for high. Otherwise, you can select medium. Right? So look at the low mode. First word, then compare it with an existing public transportation mode and check the suitability of usage of water transportation as an alternative to reduce the existing traffic congestion problem. That is what I selected as sentence. Look at the low mode. They basically give 3. Then compare it to an existing public transport mode, blah, blah, blah. Likewise, there are 3. So you read it and then you select what is most appropriate. Now see the paraphrasing. Better than what is written on the top, right? What I extracted from that paper is what I have written here, but it suggests more paraphrasing. So therefore you try to stick to one of these that would be more accurate than what I have put here. Do the same thing with the medium. Right? You can see that the words are more catchy. If you go to high mode, I always go for the high mode and then I read all three and select one. I select the second one, that is better. It then compares it to existing public transport mode, buses, and evaluate the appropriateness of what transport as an alternative to reducing existing traffic congestion problem. Perfect. Look at transport modes within buses. It's not bus. It is buses. You check with the buses and then look at the number 1. Afterwards, compare the current public transport modes and determine whether more transport is appropriate as the alternative to reducing existing traffic congestion. Why most of them are highlighted in yellow? Those are the words that need changes, right? Those are the words that need changes. So that's why you see that they have been highlighted. Remember that. Okay, so anyway, you will be getting every sentence of your write-up. You can put it into this. You get 3 different paraphrasing. What you read them, and if you think that something is much better than what you have written, do it. You can replace it very easily. So therefore, you will be getting proper sentences coming up. This is again sentence palette. So you get this. There is another the widget called sentence palette, and it will give you browse phrases and connectors for each section in your paper. From introduction to acknowledge, you are settled. No problem at all. It will do everything, every check. Sentence palette offers a set of phrases that are commonly used in academic papers organized by section and goal. For example, it shows you ways to introduce the aim of your study in your introduction. In other words, it will write. Don't worry about plagiarism. You can safely use these phrases as they are short and used very frequently. They won't lead to your paper being flagged by a plagiarism checker. So that is no problem at all. Now see, introduction. Under introduction, there are a couple of topics: topic importance, study aim, study significance, terminology, paper structure. So then you can see that some of the startups are given. Let's say X plays a crucial role in, X is widely recognized as, X is responsible for, X are among the most widely used. You see that certain words are given to you. So therefore, your vocabulary would be enhanced. You know, this is actually what we say, the vocabulary for journal writings or write-ups. So usually you will be getting that very easily. Now, when you write literature, see, you can be able to use similarly like this, you can start. Methods you can see, experimental design referred to as, data were collected, the measurements we followed. Now that is active voice. We followed, adopted, defined, the method used by some author. So it will guide you how to start the different sections. Conclusion. See how we write in this paper, study, or we have done something like that. Taking together these findings suggest, the results of the study suggest. See, they have given you some, ideas how to start. And then application to sentence. You can go sentence by sentence. Now, this is what you see. You can put it into wording. Now you can see the rightful widget is shown in your, the Word document, right? If you just buy this and then you click it, you get this window. There you get full edit mode, check document, check paragraph, widgets. If you just go one by one, you will be getting now this is para. This one you can be able to, that is check document. If you go to check document, you go word by word. Now see, so sorry, sentence by sentence. This sentence, it will correct. And then you go through it, and if it is correct, you can accept. When you accept, automatically it is corrected. Right? So that what it does is it will put your sentences in the proper manner, so that you will be writing like a veteran, right, in that area, in this field of expertise. That is exactly what we want. Right? So therefore, Rightful would be able to help. So how we are going to do it? Now you have a tool to get the better results. Follow all these steps. Step 1, write your own manuscript, simple sentences with your own vocabulary. Don't worry about your vocabulary. You will write, give, take, so many simple, wordings. Don't worry. First thing is write your own manuscript. Number 2, check whether your sentences are in order with the sentence palette using Rightful. The sentence palette will guide you how to start introduction, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, and so forth. Step 3, do the simple search for unsure words or phrases using Rightful. As I mentioned, some wording you are not sure, though you put it, so you can correct. Step 4, do compare and compare in context for unsure words and phrases using Rightful. So that would help you sharpen your vocabulary. Step 5, do words in context and synonyms in context for needy places using Rightful. Sometimes you need synonyms, because now say, you can say take. Many times you might say right take. So instead of take, what is right, you will get it from this. Step 6, do paraphrasing high mode using Rightful. Then your wording, your sentences would be, you're trying to put it correct, the entire sentence by sentence. Applied full edit mode, sentence checking for every sentence using Rightful. It will correct even the grammar. Generate the abstract and title using Rightful. That very easily you can do. Step 9, check the manuscript now with Grammarly. Now you're ready with your first draft. Once it is ready, then only you come with Grammarly, because the Grammarly is the most accurate grammar and spelling checker. Okay, so therefore now only you apply Grammarly up to step 8. All you do with Rightful, because the Rightful would help you write the basic structure and then only Grammarly be used to check the English. Check the plagiarism using Grammarly, but I would advise it is not the Grammarly. Grammarly is a preliminary stage, but the real plagiarism you must check with Turnitin. Right, so these 10 would help you finalize a good manuscript to be sent, right? So therefore, now this is what I said earlier, and I have done only the same way, like what I have written. I never sent it to anyone else. I wrote it using this, and then I managed to get it accepted. Right? So therefore, you don't want to worry, right? Look at the review comments. The reviewer one, the paper is very interesting. However, it is too long and not easy to be followed by the reader. So I suggest to reduce the manuscript and use some explicative schema to make the paper more easy to read. Now see, our English. So we try to put everything we know. That is not exactly what is required. What they want is to put it simple. Another possibility is that the work may be more concerned on paragraph 6. It may be divided into part 1 and part 2. The definition of droplets and aerosols must be clarified to avoid confusion. Right? Blah, blah, blah. So then reviewer 2. Look at reviewer 2. The reviewer 2 says the review on the COVID-19 is very comprehensive and it addresses a lot of aspects related to the pandemic. The authors provide a lot of information about the risk of exposure to the new virus. Globally, the text is well organized. Look at that. Globally, the text is well organized, but could be better structured. Now say, could be better structured. Due to the number of different aspects addressed, the text is very long and important information not well emphasized. I think that an effort could be made to shorten the length of the text. I can also suggest to present 1 or 2 tables to summarize all of them. Now, look at what they say. Right? Sometimes, even when you go down, I would like to say, para 13, 44, it says, replace incredibly by surprisingly. Look at the wording. They don't like the word incredibly, right? And instead of that, they want surprises. That is again something that I have missed. Right? So, look, simply what I want to say is, nobody says my English is poor now. I'm like you, but nobody says why. I have used the right software to correct my English, so therefore very few have been observed by the reviewers, so or maybe editors. So that is exactly what I would like you to do, right? So then with that, I got lots from this. So you don't want to send anyone else. Best thing is to send it to the journal after doing all what I said. You need only these 2. Definitely you will be able to improve. So why not give it a try? Keep in mind that for a successful research career, no pains, no gains. If you don't accept yourself, you won't reward. Also, failures are the pillars of success. Also, what comes easy won't last. What lasts won't come easy. Keep that in mind. You will succeed with your next journal paper. Absolutely no problem at all. Thank you very much for listening. I think we have got some couple of issues, or let's say questions. Sir, I am a postgraduate student of University of Moratuwa. To obtain the support of Grammarly or Rightful, should I go to University Library or can I use given student email address? No, you can go straight away. Ask for call the Dr. Nayani. You will be given a particular session, a computer. You can do everything there. Or if not, you can call me. Absolutely no problem. Then the overcoming. I don't know what it means. Overcoming. Please post your questions to chat box. Okay, dear sir. Are there special softwares to include good vocabulary words, technical terms, relevant engineering? Is Grammarly or Rightful embedded with feature to add technical terms, yes, and that is exactly what I meant. Software Rightful would help you include all these technical wording. Very easy. Just go there and then do it. If not, you can come to university. We will help you. So, what is the right software to check plagiarism? Turnitin. Better to go for Turnitin because that can, that is meant for plagiarism check. Is Rightful software freely available? It's freely available, but I again say that it can, help you only to a certain extent. Beyond that, you can't. So therefore, you need to have the premium version. So therefore, my understanding is you're wasting your time if you use freely available one for journal paper. But for day-to-day, yes, you will learn something from the free. But what is important for us for a journal paper is to 100% guarantee that we are 100% right in every sense. Okay, is Rightful software freely available? Okay, kindly post the questions only to chat box. Right, thank you very much, sir. Okay. Can we be able to, get some one or two questions if anybody wants to ask? I think it's, I don't.
Thank you very much, Professor Jaivira. Very informative presentation, and I think most of our participants, they learned a lot. And actually, now we are providing the opportunity to you to ask questions. Please raise your hand. Then we will open and we will let you to talk, because I think it's everybody limited by the ISL, and therefore please raise your hand. There are a few questions, Professor Javi. You can go ahead with that. Other than yeah, because this thanking words mix up all the questions.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that I may not be able to, visualize. Can they be able to, just simply answer that rather than raising hand? I don't know. I couldn't find it out where it is going to be.
Okay. I think ISL can open my CPU. Yeah, unmute allowed for everybody, so you can ask questions.
Those who raised the hands, could you please, post your question?
Now, everybody, they can unmute themselves and they can ask questions.
Okay. So there are no questions.
Actually, we have done it in very clear manner, so maybe there are no questions. However, no questions from our audience?
Hello, sir. There's one question from me. My name is Sudarshan.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not the academia. I'm an industrial person working in the water sector.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for your wonderful, informative presentation. Even there are so many things to in the academic writing, but we were not aware at this moment until this moment. Thank you very much, sir. The second thing is just a question. I'm not a postgraduate student from University of Montreal, but if I have some manuscript to be checked through these two softwares, Grammarly and the Rightful, is it okay if I come to the university to check it? Or
yes, of course. Yeah, definitely, no problem. I will, arrange everything for you.
Okay.
My number is, please write it down. Note 777 320 590. Note
Can you repeat this again?
0777
Okay.
320 590.
Okay, sir.
Or you can call Dr. Nayani direct. I will, request her, and then you come there so that we will give you even introductory session. We will teach you how to use it, and then thereafter you can be able to use it. No problem at all. But what we want is we need, students or maybe people to use this as much as possible to improve their English. That is
Okay,
our,
thank you.
no problem at all. You are
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Give me a call and then we can be able to, give you time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, so that's all. There are a couple of chats coming up again. Okay, so it says, are there special softwares to include good vocabulary? Okay, I think I answered that. Repeat your mobile. No 777 320 590. Binduai Hatevatunai Tunsia Visai Pansia. We will, train you. Don't worry, because we have a separate section where we can do it. Can we trust the article usage shown in Grammarly? I feel it excessive and cannot figure out. You can basically trust, because unless you have experience, you're not going to understand it. Because the article usage shown in Grammarly is basically something they figure out looking at the entire using artificial intelligence. So therefore, you and I cannot figure it out easily, right? Because they use the usually deep language, the algorithms, neural network again. So that is one of the neural network algorithms that they use to get it out. So they are perfect, but you and I cannot understand. So therefore, you go by the statistics. Whatever you write, I mean, need not to, go for journal write-ups. Whatever let's say you write a letter, you put it into Grammarly and then get the statistics out. There you can see where you stand up. Now, if you hope to do IELTS, I do say that always you have to go for more than 90%. In this, if you can go for more than 90%, absolutely no problem. You can be able to, keep it, very well. You can pass the IELTS without any problems. So therefore, go one by one, you learn. You make mistakes, that's normal. But the same mistake cannot be done again and again. How? You learn, you try to identify what the error is. Go and inquire. That's how I do. Right? So that I made very little mistakes because of that now, but still I do make mistakes. That is the human nature, but that is not accepted to journal. So therefore, whenever you write to a journal, you must make sure that it is error-free. So you try our best, always we try our best to correct them using these two. So then you are true. English speaking ability is not going to be improved, because these two softwares are nothing to be done with speaking. So therefore, these two won't correct speaking at all. But now, I mean, since I have finished this, I can tell you, I don't think you need this rightful anymore. There is a new one. I don't know, perhaps you would have heard, Chat GPT is much better than rightful now, which has come very recently out. So we are planning to do another session, maybe with the right, with the Chat GPT also, maybe with the permission of organizers later. With that, you can write any paper within 24 hours. But still there is an art. You need to learn that art. If you know that art, you can write a paper within 24 hours. Pretty fast. That is the future. Okay. Anything else? Sorry for taking too much of time. I think I have taken more than.
Not at all, Professor Javira, that I have a question, because
Yes, go ahead.
The question, actually clarification that you mentioned that not the past participle we have to use in writing the methodologies or generally in the manuscript. It's better to write them in the present tense. So do you please clarify it once again? Because generally in our thesis writing, we ask students to write in, use the past tense or the past participle especially.
Usually when it comes to introduction, you use present or present perfect.
Yes.
Right? Supposing the present is general, natural, incidences, the examples, if you want to say, so you always use present tense. But if you're going to extract for someone else, so you can say, so and so has done. So that is present, participle. So that is what these two are what you use in the introduction mostly. But when it comes to the methodology, always past tense. Because you say we did, something has done. So somebody has done, or maybe temperature was measured. There you never say temperature is measured. Temperature has been measured, wrong. Right? Temperature had been measured, no, wrong. Was measured. So therefore, that is what you use. Right? So therefore, rightful would guide you there. Right? Say when it comes to the conclusions, most of the time, conclusion is written with the present tense and present participle. You never ever use, the past tense. And I have seen some of them are using past tense, which is sometimes accepted some journals, but the good journals never accept. So therefore, that is the the nomenclature or the culture that we can basically learn using right. How and what the wording that we should use in for different sections. For a beginner, it is good, right? So now say words confirm, refer to, infer, articulate. Those are the words that are to be, basically used in introduction, or maybe even in the last recommendation, or maybe conclusions. Right? That is what something, or maybe you say you get some insight into, from your paper that has to be explained. So therefore, these words are important, right? But simple. You have to write simple. But our biggest problem is always we cannot write any paper without going to 3 lines, right? Any sentence. So if you can finish within 2, perfect. The best ones always finish with 2 lines, right? You never go beyond 2 lines. Otherwise, it's very difficult for reader to catch up.
Okay, thank you. There are several questions. Shall we go back to the chat box if possible?
Yeah. So if we use applied ChatGPT to generate manuscript, will it be disqualified in plagiarism checks? It is, as of today, all that is what is that Springer journals, nature journals, they are going to capture it and they won't accept. But elsewhere basically takes neutral position up to now. So therefore, for elsewhere journals, whatever you prepare using ChatGPT can be sent. And you won't believe, ChatGPT can be co-author. There are papers that appears ChatGPT being co-authors. So future, I don't know, ChatGPT is going to get the highest citation because everybody is going to, get this ChatGPT as one of the co-authors. I don't know how long it would be possible because now many journals, the journals in the sense that publishers, they contemplate on this aspects. But I mean, right at the moment, this is free so that you can be able to use it. But there is an art of using it. So you have to train. You ask from the very simple questions and then you go to complex questions and then only they are going to give you everything right. Now I have written, anything is possible with that, but you must learn that art because that is based on, again, the neural network, the deep learning, the world best, the algorithm called transformer. Based on that, they are going to do it, but very soon it would be stopped. Or I would believe that it would be already congested during night time, because at any given time 20 million people enter. At any given time 20 million people work, so that you can imagine the power that these computers have. I mean, whatever the data you require up to 2021 available there, so that they basically ransack the entire database up to 2021. Disadvantage is after that no data, but they are training it now. So maybe in future it would be a paid version, but Elon Musk said that it's going to be roughly $20 per month. So sometimes that would be the best AI inbuilt software for this. I mean, most of our jobs opportunities, or the jobs are going to be redundant if ChatGPT is going to be there. So it can do everything. We'll see. I mean, if the time permits, we will try to do the same thing with using ChatGPT, so that you will learn that also how to use this and how not to misuse. Both you can be able to learn. Good thing. I mean, if you can use it.
Yes, I'll discuss with you regarding that. I don't know whether it's ethical to tell such kind of softwares. I mean, I'll discuss with you scientific writing.
Yeah, say for example, the world is using it. So therefore, I mean, there's no way that you can stop it. I mean, say for example, if your student uses, there's no way that you can catch him. So therefore, my idea is actually the world, the idea is to use it. But the question is, supposing if you're not from the same field. Now, say for example, if I'm not from IT field, but I can write any sort of manuscript in IT, that is wrong. Right? But if I know that, say for example, in environmental engineering, if I can get something, I can save time. But my personal view is, if you know the subject, then you can be able to use this so that you can save time. That is possible.
Anyway, however, because without doing the experiment, so without doing a research, that we can't go ahead at all. So therefore,
that is not what I meant. What I meant is, you have to have your research done.
Yeah.
But this is a good, the piece of, I would say, the AI-based software with which you can write your paper. But you have to do everything. Now, say for example, I don't know whether some people would be happy to use the machine learning software to analyze, because the future is machine learning. So even to analyze your data. So this would give you all the coding. And then if I ask the coding, explain, I have this data, what is best? And it will give you the best, the machine learning algorithm. So then when I ask coding, give me the coding, it will give, so that I will copy that coding and go to, one of these libraries of either R software or maybe something else. And then when I place this, it will give me the answers and drawings and everything. And then OpenAI company who has developed this has developed what you call the software again to draw all sort of figures. Right? Every figure nowadays you need not to do by yourself, and there is a software with which you can be able to do. So that is future. So that you can't get away from this. Right, because the all AI, artificial intelligence, engulf all human, the creations. That is, whether we like it or not, that is what is going to happen. And then say DALL-E. So that is what I said earlier. So if you just go to DALL-E, so DALL-E will give you any drawing. Now, for most of these good journals, you have to submit what you call the graphical abstract. So the graphical abstract can be very easily obtained using DALL-E.
Yeah, what's the wording? Professor?
DALLE stroke E. DALL hyphen E. That's called DALL-E. That is the software they develop to draw all sort of 3D figures, schematic figure, normal figure. You explain. You simply using words, you explain, I need this, with all what is possible, so that will give out.
If participants request, then we can arrange another one. Actually, another one with Professor Javira, because
I think
explain
better
those things, and
better to check with ChatGPT, because it is not simple as you wish. I mean, as you think. There is a way of getting things out from ChatGPT. When you write, ask them, give me an introduction part, on this manuscript title, blah 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 blah. It will not give you, but there is a way of getting these things done that you should learn. Then I mean, it's easy.
There's a request
let's
actually
see.
to have a session. Yeah. Yeah.
So you learn a lot. I mean, that would be very good for your children. And then those who know, those who want to learn, perfect. Anything you can get, short notes, designs, coding, analysis, any statistical analysis, you can get it done. No issue at
The
all.
basics to be done by our engineers. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a bit afraid of it actually to tell them to use such kind of thing. But however, I thank you so much for this eye-open session on this kind of softwares that there are, which we have in this world, and to prepare the manuscripts. And yeah, any other questions?
One small one I would like to answer. Somebody asked about this, the Springer. The Springer is going to, just pick up. Yes, even the Turnitin is now being changed. The Turnitin, the version, they have added AI component to, pick it up anything that is coming from ChatGPT. So they are working on it, and even the other Turnitin also working on it, and so many other stuff we call IEEE. So that also works on the same. So therefore, in future, there is a possibility of getting this plagiarism coming from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has a certain logical way of putting stuff. So that is what they're going to identify. I don't know. It will happen in future. Hopefully, we believe that it will not, so that you can use ChatGPT. I don't know. Let's see. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. And if there are no questions, then we can wind up our most informative and very resourceful session. Because actually, Professor Javed is a very nice talker anyway, that we like to listen to him all the time when he was talking so many things. Untitled, we can listen to him. So thank you so much, Professor Javed, to join with us, and also giving this such a wonderful presentation, and make eye open to all our participants. And dear participants, we have several sessions more, especially that we are going to invite one Elsevier person, and he will give you most important things when you are going to do a publication in their Elsevier journals. And anyway, that by the time we'd like to invite Professor Javed once again for, if we prefer that, to have a session on such kind of AI softwares, what he has mentioned, which we can use for improve our manuscript, but the participant not to copy, because you have to improve your own knowledge on writing, and also drawing, and also your thinking. So as a lecturer, I don't like you to lose and you to give all the things to the softwares, but you have to your own things on rethink or the design ability as engineers, as well as all whatever the people who are joining with us in this ISL session. And thank you very much once again. And also this time that I'm thankful to Section C of Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, as well as General Research Committee of Sri Lanka Advancement of Science, and also the presidents of both sessions, Professor Ayanta Gomez and Professor Emin Kaumar, and our public here that in the ISL we have Engineer Kosala Kamburadeniya, who is the president of, who is the sectional head of Vice President of the ISL, who is chairing this publication, Library and Publication Committee, and also our Mr. Chamila Priyanta, always supporting us to deliver these sessions, and also Engineer Manuscript, who is supporting me to handle this session, the design writing course from the beginning. And you participants, thank you so much once again to being with us today. Also, the participation is really good. And from here onwards, we are planning to have some cooperative sessions with Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science. And thank you once again, our very special resource person, Mr. Mahesh Jayavira. Thank you so much once again, sir. And we would like to see you again in this course in future.
Thank you very much, Professor Bandhani. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for students and those who participate. And let's meet up again, let's see later, whether we can be able to do the same thing again with ChatGPT later. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. One question from one person, whether there are any lectures in this series. Yes, we have few lectures to complete this session, and after we are planning to start the another one in the same manner, whoever the newcomers join with us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.